If your accountant has ever told you to cut back on professional development or slash your teacher appreciation budget or your staff development budget just so you could stay afloat, or has told you, hey, you probably can't go invest in that program, please listen. The problem is not that you're spending too much money on your people or yourself or your investment or your support system. It's that your school has invisible money leaks that are draining your profit, leaks that no spreadsheet will ever catch or accountant. So I created the 6 money leaks of schools that show you the 6 core areas that schools lose money every single month without realizing it. If you close even one of them, your profits will start to soar without sacrificing your team. Go get it now and stop blaming the things that are actually building your school.
Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, where we transform everyday leadership struggles into powerful legacies that impact generations. I'm your host, Chanie Wilschanski, a 20-year veteran of school leadership who has helped hundreds of school leaders achieve what many thought was impossible through our signature programs, School Leadership HQ and Enrollment Engine. With our battle-tested frameworks and blueprints, leaders have achieved 90% parent retention, 50% less staff turnover, 15% improved profit margins, and increased enrollment by 25%. My mission is simple: to revolutionize school leadership by elevating the skills, the habits, and mindset of passionate leaders ready to create lasting change. Join me as we build your legacy of excellence, one transformative conversation at a time. Welcome back to the Schools of Excellence podcast. Today's conversation is all about August. August vibes, August kind of school year. For those of you that start the school year in August, for those of you that start the school year at the end of August or the beginning of September, depending on where you are, August always brings this kind of fresh, exciting energy that something new is about to come, right? That something new is on its way in. So today's episode is what you tolerate in August is what you'll be cleaning up in February, okay? So what happens in August with these kind of like pristine notebooks and, whenever I go to Walmart, and I rarely go into stores or whatever it is, but whenever I go into Walmart, like in July, like I feel like I just dropped my kids off in day camp and I just sent my older kids off to overnight camp. And then I walk into Walmart to get potatoes and there's like back to school everywhere. And I'm like, no. So just so you know, for those of you that are new to the podcast, I revolt against back to school year stuff until the last week of August. So like I will not buy school supplies, backpacks, or anything until literally I have to. Like my kids are going to school in 2 days. Summer is so sacred to me. I don't want to be buying crayons and pencils in August. My kids start school, this year they start school September 3rd, I think. I don't know, just the way the calendar rolls out. But I have like this thing when it comes to summer. So what happens a lot in August is leaders tell themselves, this year's going to be different. This year, guys, this is the year. This is the year that everything's going to be amazing, right? Same thing like in January, like this is the year that I'm going to eat more protein. And this is the year that I'm going to go walking. And this is the year that I'm not going to eat processed foods or sugar. And this is the year I'm going to work on my relationship. And this is the year that I'm going to start a new skincare routine. Fill in the blank. So here's what I want to offer to you really gently and really clearly. What you tolerate in August is what you will be cleaning up in February. Not because you're a bad leader, not because you're not working hard. You're actually a phenomenal leader and you actually work really hard. But what you need to understand is culture doesn't show up overnight. It is built quietly, every day, every moment, in what you allow, in what you tolerate, in what you ignore, in what you repeat, and most importantly, in what you kind of explain away in the name of, we just got back to school. We just got back to school. So while August can really feel like a fresh start, and it is, it actually becomes this moment where old leadership patterns slowly creep back in. And they're creeping back in with just prettier bulletin boards and pressed shirts and, clean floors. Because what happens is you cancel the one-on-one because you have to go urgently help in that classroom. And you let a staff meeting slide or run late because it's the first week of school. And you're like, I can't really hold that director accountable because they just got back from summer break. And so what happens is you assume that everyone is holding the same standard without a consistent way of checking the pulse if everyone's actually holding the same standard. And so those little moments that you define as little are actually not little because they set the tone for what your team will follow through on. So what happens is by the time February hits, your energy is so depleted and so exhausted, and the stakes are so much higher because you're not dealing with isolated problems anymore. Now you're dealing with a pattern that you allowed to take shape 6 months ago. So leadership is not what you say in your kickoff speech in August. It's what you normalize every day because your team is watching what you protect and what you let slide. If you protect the one-on-ones and you protect gratitude and you protect those things, then your team learns relationships matter here. If you avoid difficult conversations, then your team learns conflict is unsafe here. If you jump in every single time someone's overwhelmed, your team learns leadership means rescuing. And so you keep trying to tell yourself, I value boundaries, but then you abandon whatever's on your calendar the moment chaos hits. You communicate to your team, you can rely on me. I'm here. I'm available. I have an open door policy. But what you've actually trained them to rely on is your reactivity, your heroism, your charisma, your vibe, your energy. And so you say you want ease and you want peace, but your actions actually show an identity that thrives in the chaos. So August and back to school is never about doing more. It's about choosing what do I want to repeat? What do I want to repeat? So if this is the year that you're like, I'm going to stop over functioning. This is the year I'm going to start anchoring in rhythm before urgency sets in. You don't need more projects, more SOPs, or more systems. You need predictability. You need rhythms because rhythms create safety. You need decisions that your team can anchor on, even when you're too tired to hold everything. So I want to share 3 shifts that you can do this August that will anchor you for a long-term great culture. Again, it's not a checklist, it's not an SOP, and it's not a hack. One thing that you can do this August is choose one rhythm that you're going to protect at all costs. Okay, so it could be, I am going to protect the gratitude rhythm. I am going to protect doing one-on-ones with my staff. I'm going to protect the weekly team huddle where we do emotional pulse checks. And we're going to do that during the chaos. We are not going to abandon connection when things get busy. When things get busy, we're going to anchor in connection. Because the thing that you need to understand when it comes to these rhythms is so many leaders say, I do one-on-ones. I do classroom observations. But here's the thing that I always follow up on. Okay, you do one-on-ones? Great. That means, if you're telling me you do consistent one-on-ones, that means that I can go into your school and I could privately interview every single one of your teachers. And they will be able to pull up their calendar and tell me when was the last one-on-one they had with you. And it should be within the last 3 weeks, because if you're doing consistent one-on-ones, that means every teacher has a one-on-one every single month. And they would be able to tell me what they spoke about with you at that one-on-one. And if you're doing consistent one-on-ones, that means I can come to you and I can tell you, show me your teacher roster. I'd put up the teacher roster and I would say, great, Sarah Jones, she teaches in the toddler room. Please pull up the notes. What was the last thing you spoke about with Sarah Jones at the one-on-one? So today's May 27th, which means your last one-on-one was in the last 4 weeks. So please pull up April's one-on-ones. What did you talk about with Sarah Jones? If you can't answer that question for me, you're not doing consistent one-on-ones. You're not. You think you're doing consistent one-on-ones, but if you're really doing consistent one-on-one, that means you have a record keeping of every one-on-one. That means you could pull up the one that you've had in the last 30 days. And that means your teacher can tell me when your last one-on was and what you spoke about at that one-on-one. And if you and your teachers can't answer those questions, you're not doing consistent one-on-ones. You're doing sporadic one-on-ones. You're doing mood-based one-on-ones. You're doing them when it fits the vibe or when you're like in the mood. That's when you're doing one-on-ones. That's not a rhythm, because what that teaches your team is I connect with you only when I sense disconnection. When I feel you drifting or when I sense that something's off or the vibe is off, that's when I connect with you. Not as a predictable, reliable system, because as a member of this team, you deserve a connection point every single month that you don't have to earn or prove for, but you just get the one-on-one as part of being a member of the team. That's what a rhythm is. So that's one shift. Another shift, install a pulse check once a week. So I had a really great conversation with an owner a couple of weeks ago. And the conversation actually started when she had reached out and she's like, I'm really not in a good headspace. I don't like my team. I don't like my job. I actually hate everyone on my team. And I'm really having a difficult time. And so I got on a call and I was connecting with her. And she said something like, she's like, it's just been so busy and so hectic and everything feels like a lot. And so at our last L10 meeting, the leadership meeting, she's like, we didn't do any projects or any like status updates. We just sat and like connected emotionally. And everyone was just like, talking about what's going on in their life. And everyone's like, this is amazing. Like everyone felt so good. And I was like, great. Okay. So she's like, so the next meeting I did the same thing. Like we didn't talk about, any projects or anything like that. We just did emotional check-in and things are just feeling so much better now. And I said, okay, here's the deal. All right. Because I already know this protocol. I know this system where it's, oh my gosh, everyone feels so disconnected. Okay. We have to stop talking about projects all the time. We have to talk about us as people. We have to do an emotional check. Great. So you do the emotional check. Everyone loves the emotional check. So you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Everything's feeling good again. The vibe is back. Great. So you do it another week. And then 3 weeks pass and you're like, oh my God, enrollment's down. Oh my God, the culture's slipping. Oh my goodness, 2 parents said that they're not returning. Whew. All right, next L10, bam, bam, bam. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. And you become the drill sergeant again. What happened to the emotional check-in? What happened to the vibe? What? We don't got time for vibe. We got to go do this. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, oh my God, stop with the insanity. You can actually live in a predictable rhythm. People need emotional pulse checks. So here's what we do. Every week when you meet with the team, you take 5 to 10 minutes of that meeting and you do an emotional pulse check. And guess what? When people are full and feel connected emotionally, it doesn't take 45 minutes to do an emotional pulse check. It actually only takes 10 minutes. But when you are emotionally starved, it's going to take 45 minutes. So stop doing all or nothing with the pendulum. Stop doing 45 minutes of emotional pulse checks, no project updates, and then, oh my God, all of a sudden all your projects are falling aside, and now we got to do project updates. So no more emotional. What? Why can't you do both? Oh, but both is not a crisis. Both is equilibrium. We don't know how to do equilibrium. We just know how to do woo, crazy, and woo, everything's fine, and woo, crazy, and woo, everything's fine. Stop. Stop going all over the place. Do predictable, consistent rhythms, which means every week there is a pulse check. There's a pulse check. What do we need to recommit to this week? What is something you tolerated this week that you probably shouldn't have? And how do we recommit for next week, right? Not about what new thing are we doing next week. Stop with the dopamine, not something new. What's something we need to return to? What's something we need to re-anchor in? That's the emotional check. So if you commit to doing that in August and you do that every week for 10 minutes, You will create a baseline. The third thing you can do this August is anchor your own energy. Pick a personal rhythm that restores you. Maybe that's a 5-minute walk after lunch every day. Maybe you actually eat lunch, right? Not eat lunch while you're working or while you're doing note taking, but actually eat lunch. You're human. You deserve to eat lunch. Maybe you do a Friday coffee check-in with a mentor, whatever it is. Okay. I have a energy anchor where I write one thank you card every single morning. So every morning I sit down at my desk. For those of you that are watching the video version, so on my desk, I have a stack of stamps in a box. And then I also have always prepared cards and envelopes. And then in my calendar in the morning, the first thing that I have in the morning is there is a task to write a thank you card. And there's a whole list of people that I've already lined up that I want to write thank you cards to this quarter. And I have the reminder, the cue for me to write the thank you card to them. And every morning, that's a ritual that I have. Why did I choose that ritual? Because for me, pouring into other people and showing gratitude fuels me, energizes me, gives me my warmth that I love, right? I love the warmth and the energy that exists inside of me. And so I always want to cultivate it. One of the ways that I cultivate it is through writing gratitude. It takes me 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes a day. That anchors my energy, that anchors me in what I want to bring out into the world. Okay. When we start off the school year, right, you have the best of intentions, and intentions are not enough. You need to anchor them in rhythm. You need to anchor them in consistency so you can feel that groundingness, so that you don't accidentally tolerate all these things that shouldn't be tolerated. When clients work with us in School Leadership HQ, right, we help these school leaders stop repeating the same exhausting cycle year after year after year. We teach them how to lead with rhythm and build a culture that holds, right? That's what I was talking about, the client who was like, create the emotional pulse check rhythm. Install the systems that protect your peace, right? Not just, oh my God, I need systems. Protect your peace and your people, right? Because don't wait to feel the cracks in January and then the giant crater in February. Small cracks, even in 1 week, close the cracks, seal them, and keep them closed with the right rhythms. Don't wait for February to clean stuff up. So if you are in this moment, if you are in this impasse where you want to lead differently and you're not sure how, and you're I feel like I need a little bit of everything that you said here, I want to invite you to apply to School Leadership HQ. The link is in the comments. You fill out an application, you'll get on a call with me, we'll have a conversation if this is a right fit. And you'll know if it's a right fit if you're feeling inside of you want to lead differently. You know that you want more peace, more profit, more time, more anchoredness so that you're not holding everything. That's what I want to invite you into today. And just to recap on the 3 things, 3 shifts, right? Protect one rhythm, install an emotional pulse check once a week, and choose something that you can anchor in your own energy. Thanks so much for joining, and I look forward to connecting with you.
If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school, I would love if you can do 2 things for me. 1, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And 2, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the place to learn how to build a school of excellence. And I would be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support makes this show to be able to be listened by the thousands of other school leaders all around the world. Thanks so much for listening, for giving us your time and attention each and every week. And I appreciate that you have joined us. We had a client that we worked with, and she was really struggling with profitability. She kept raising tuition. She actually did 3 tuition increases within a 15-month cycle, and she still could not catch up. So I helped her work with our 6 money leaks in schools, and she only used 3 of the 6 money leaks and cut her expenses by 50%. 50. She did not fire anyone, she did not slash any of her programs, and she did not work more hours. Again, the 6 money leaks are not hacks or spreadsheets. These are patterns. They are small decisions that feel so normal that your school does, but they quietly drain your school's profit. So if you've ever wondered why you're working so hard, but still not seeing the return, this is your first step to clarity. Click the link in the show notes and find out what it's actually costing you.